turned this old hand truck into a freaking awesome go-kart, complete with a live axle and some drifting sleeves. While in line at Harbor Freight to pick up this dolly, I checked the local classified ads and found the exact same one. Used my mad negotiating skills and talked him down to 37 bucks. And here we are with the hand truck, which is the perfect start to a go-kart frame. If you can find one with these little wheel plates, I would suggest picking it up. Just for the metal itself, I was going to be cutting that, putting it up vertical, drilling holes, and using it for this type of bearing bracket. And then I thought, hey, I've got some little foot-mounted pillow block bearings. We can put them right on there. Simple as that. Check out these little gusseted caster pieces. They will be perfect for the spindle brackets. This was a 2-in-1 convertible type. Therefore, this little extension slides in here. That means that we can make this really as long as we want. Well, that'll do, pig. Chopping up these little tubing stub pieces with these gussets already in place turned out perfect for these spindle brackets. Connecting those casters was this bar, which is a perfect end support. And for the axle bearing mounting plates, I didn't want them sticking out that far. I wanted them supported as close to the frame itself. So I ended up trimming those up, and then I'm able to use those as some of the little brackets for the linkages and throttle stuff here in a minute. Here I use the base plate for the engine mount. I simply marked out the width that I wanted, then I just scored the base plate. I didn't cut all the way through. Just by scoring it and putting a little bevel on it, you're able to then bend it. And yeah, it took a little minute. I probably could have cut a little more, but it turned out perfect for this engine mount. Now I did take the extra minute or two to get some caster and camber angle in that. The caster itself, that's the one that kind of rotates back, and I added about 15 degrees positive. Now I was going to use the 5/8 inch axle, but that ended up being too short and I didn't want it all Mod Podged, so I ended up getting a full length of tubing for the actual steering itself. Did some MIG welding with CO2, which turned out some great looking welds. Welding on a bolt for the brake band, and then onto the pedals. I like these kind because they have a little stopper built in, and so all you have to do is just drill out a hole. With a bunch of the scrap left over, I'm able to take and make a little tiny bracket for the actual cable itself. Onto the paint. I'm adding a Rust-Oleum primer and decided to go with a metallic purple. Now, if you go with one of these metallic types, you will want a primer for consistent finishes. Check out that paint, turned out freaking awesome, and now we are ready for reassembly. Except I forgot the bottom bracket for the brake band, so back to a little weld job. And hey, here's a great tip if you need to fill a gap in welding. Use some TIG welding rod. Now on to assembly. Karts will rattle and shake, so always put the bolt with the head on top. That way, if the nut falls off, it will still give you a little time to hopefully steer off the road before everything falls apart. Or a little dab of Loctite helps too. Harbor Freight was having a sale, so it's time for a brand new Predator engine. To align the sprocket, you can either add some oversized washers or just get a 3/4 inch shaft spacer and cut it to size. Now, it would be near impossible to guess the amount of links that you would need in order just that number, so what you'll want to get is a chain breaker, or you can actually cut it with an angle grinder. Don't forget the master link. Throttle linkage is really easy on these. Once you find that 10mm socket, take off the air filter and cover. Loosen this linkage by the bolt up on top so the lever moves back and forth with ease. Send the cable and sheathing through this little bracket and tighten down on that sheathing. Not the cable, just the sheathing. Send the cable through that hole and tighten on the bolt on top. I always like to add an extra return spring, and that's just so it doesn't go all full throttle on you. I was going to go use cheap wheels, even the ones that came with the hand truck for the front, but I went to a local karting shop and found these sweet used rims and tires for cheap. Now, even with that seat adjustment, I probably could have gone back a couple more inches to make it a bit more comfortable for me, but it fits the boys perfectly. I started out with these crazy big wheels, tons of traction, and with a 60-tooth sprocket, this thing picks up and goes. Now, after that first run, I figured out a couple things. First, we should add a floor pan. So this is just some scrap ACM, aluminum composite material, worked out and looks amazing. I also stumbled upon some scrap PVC, which the bell end of a 10-inch pipe fits perfectly over some 11-inch tires. This was the best and funnest upgrade I've ever made. And yes, that Predator adds a lot of power, so drifting is a little tricky, but I'm getting the hang of it. Still, this thing is a blast to drive, and by far the funnest car I've ever made. Freaking awesome. Like and subscribe.